Oh, we are. Okay. Okay. I was like,
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that's a good segue to the next question, which is like, hey, we're here to discuss the modern data stack. And my question for you all is, what does the modern data stack mean? And tell us a little bit about what is your piece in that stack.
To me, like, there's a bunch of ways you can define this. The kind of easy way is it's cloud-based SaaS tools that are sort of multi-tenant, that have kind of the architecture of a modern tool. They're kind of this consumerization of IT approach, like the transition from very legacy sales-oriented companies from like Oracle and SAP and stuff towards these much more modern ways of software. The part of it to me, and this is something I wrote a little bit longer thing about, the part of it to me that I think is what is becoming to define it is something that is much more horizontally integrated than vertically integrated. We used to have a bunch of data tools that did a bunch of things. So you had like BI tools were also your data stores. They would also do transformation. They would also do data ingestion. If you want to do product analytics, it would live in Google Analytics, and it was like an end-to-end tracking all the way to your dashboards and reporting. If you're wanting to do sales analytics, it lives in Salesforce, which is your logging and is your source of truth for data and is where you do the analytics. To me, what the modern data stack really is it's turning that on its side so that you have one unified layer for each part of that step. You have one layer for ingestion, like a Fivetran or a Stitch. You have one layer for your database. You have one layer for transformation. You have one layer for monitoring. You have one layer for operational analytics or reverse ETL or whatever you're calling it. One layer for the sort of documentation, for observability, and all of those things kind of operate across all different dimensions of business. So, but ultimately, to me, that's what the change is it's these individual layers that can kind of be integrated vertically, as opposed to like us taking everything and each tool vertically solving the problem end to end.
I actually agree with everything Ben said. That's actually a really nice way to put it at the architecture level. And I see it associated with a shift in how companies run their kind of data function. And both, I think, Mark and Igor mentioned this, which is data is itself turning into a product. It serves all these various use cases, specifically because it's horizontal, right? So now the only way for a team or a product, like a function to reach all the various stakeholders, if it's going to be horizontal, is to think and deliver like a product team. And so to me, the modern data stack is also the, let's call it, softwareification of data organizations. So turning what they do into a agile, continuous delivery, like operational model. And so you see, that's I think why you see the emergence of not just tools for every layer in the stack, but also all of the tools and practices around DevOps starting to appear in the world of data. So you need to know if your stats are, if your metrics are correct, right? So you need monitoring. You need to know what metrics you have. So you have cataloging and you need to deploy those. I think a lot of the modern data stack is about that transition of how the data team delivers for the rest of the company.
I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think the biggest thing that I see in the last, call it 4 or 5 years, is data is just becoming unmanageable. You have smaller and smaller teams working with more and more disparate data sets that no one can actually know the state of any single data set at any point in time. Going back to Mark's example, sure, maybe I'm the expert on ETA, but now we have Fivetran, and now we have dbt, and everyone's writing their own pipelines, and then everyone is ingesting their own data. And all of a sudden you have a team of maybe like 5, 6 data engineers and a couple of data scientists who are managing 500 data sets, 600 data sets. Who actually knows what's in any of those? Probably nobody. And so we're past the age of tribal knowledge and of asking your neighbor, hey, what's in this table? How do I pull the latest trip count numbers? And we're in an age where you need tooling to be able to manage data at this scale. And whether that's cataloging, whether that's operational analytics, I got you on that one, whether it's monitoring, whether it's access at high speeds, whether it's visualization, the tooling needs to support the scale of the data and empower the smaller teams to be able to actually manage and work with that amount of very, very disparate data.
I think the modern data stack, it's I think there's a few big changes that have probably happened in the last 10 years that we're grappling with that have led to this new stack. I think probably the two salient ones are the kind of the emergence and now dominance of cloud, and sort of the inexorable reality that servers will go the way of transistors and that everything will be a cloud service. So, and the second thing is just the scale of data, which has led to the rise of, most services are distributed. And I think with these is sort of the new planet we all live on is, cloud services with large scale data. We've started to create, a set of kind of organs, like a large scale organism has like a heart and a liver and a pancreas, and we all understand like there's separation between these things. I think organizations have figured out that we have data engineering, we have data quality, we have these, instead of just data being kind of one size fits all, we now have data teams have sort of broken themselves up into little pieces. And the modern data stack in some ways is the productization of all of those pieces. And so naturally, big companies like Lyft, Uber, Pinterest have faced these problems first. They've built these pieces, and now many of the companies I think here are kind of the productization of what we saw internally. So there's certainly more to be built, but I think when I think of the modern data stack, it's kind of that a new set of organs for kind of the new planet of cloud and new scale of data.
Yeah, for me, I see that organizations in the past have had the crown jewels to certain things to do with data, whether that's ingestion, storage, processing, generating reports, held by a selected crew of individuals, right? And to me, the model data stack is anything that democratizes any of those components, whether it's ingestion of data, so the marketing team can ingest third-party data from Marketo into the data warehouse, to like storage, like Snowflake that stores this data and processes it for you, to like consumption of these, or democratizing information about this as to how do I use this data and how do I, like, what table do I join with? So anything that really democratizes this ingestion, processing, storage, egress of data, to me